This is a very typical question one. It gives you a very brief specification, tells you which file to open, and critically tells you what to save it as. Remember, you need to save it in the finished or completed directory for Edexcel to be able to mark it, so that's really critical. In this kind of question, you follow the instructions bullet point by bullet point, and that's how it's marked. Okay, so what I'm going to do is show you how this question works. So you can use the PLS to help you if you need to, but in this case all we need to do is find the random library. That's one mark. I now need to make sure that I create an integer variable called roll, so I'm just going to pop that in there. Notice it's a global. I'm going to set it to 0. Sometimes that's called initialization. Initialization being set it to the default value. Now remember that in Python for Edexcel they use capital letters to indicate constants. So in order to do that, I'm going to do sides equals 6. The other thing I want you to notice is that I'm putting spaces between my code here. That just gives me white space, makes the code a lot easier to see. You can also create white space by creating new lines if you have to. It's a good idea to do that even if the question doesn't appear to be asking you for it. Do it anyway, it'll help. Down here, it now tells me to assign the result of this library called the variable roll. And one thing I forgot to mention is that here we have an indication of what we need to do. So particularly in questions 1, 2 and 3 sometimes they will give you these arrows which will tell us what we need to do. So it's a library call, and it's a library call to randint 1, sides, and we need to assign it to roll, so we need to put roll in there. So that's going to go, roll becomes random integer between 1 and sides. These things are known as local variables, but they are going to become parameters that we pass across to randint. So these become parameters that we pass up to that library, that function. Display the message your role is and the variable role. Nice and easy. So we're going to do a print, and one of the things you get marks for is by making sure that your outputs are nice and clear. So what I'm going to do is do print your role is. A couple of ways I can do this. I can either use the pluses to add things together, so I could do that sort of thing, or I could just do a comma there and that would do the same sort of job. If you're using a plus, okay, you would have to convert that from a string to an integer, because that's proper concatenation. If you are using the comma, you don't have to do that. You just put roll in like that, and let's just have a look and see what that does. And what we need to do, of course, is save this, and you need to be quite careful. Save it into your finished directory. So I've already got it up here, so save it into your finished directory before you run it. If you don't save it in there, or completed directory, depending on what they've given you, then you won't get the marks because nobody will know what code you've given them. At the moment, I'm just going to put it into my downloads directory, just to make life a bit easier for me. I'm going to then run it, and that's that question done.